140.6. 140.6 miles. Swim in rough, open water. Bike more in a day than many will ride in a whole year. And then run a marathon. 140.6 Ironman competition. The global benchmark for testing personal limits of mind, body, and spirit. Now, many of you think those who do these races are nuts, crazy, certifiable. Well, I've raced 3,000 miles of Ironman events. That's the equivalent of racing from my office in Boston, and according to Google Maps, to 3 miles from right here. And I'm excited to share some lessons with you so you can do Ironman. My first lesson is from the swim. I used to avoid the other swimmers. I didn't realize I could draft off them, catch their water, and even help people behind me. Now I jump into the pack and I feed off its energy. My next lesson is from the bike. 5 to 7 hours sitting on a seat the size of a coconut and as hard as a coconut. Often the weather, blistering sun, or the terrain going up into the clouds and then descending at 40 miles an hour is equally as hard as the distance. Now humans, we are pathetically inefficient when it comes to all animals on the planet from getting from one point to another. The condor rocks. But now that I harness the technology of the bike, the compression socks, the aero helmet, I can be twice as efficient as the condor. My third lesson comes from the run. The first Ironman I ever did, it was the most humid day in the history of that day in Florida. And when I got off the bike to put my left foot in my sneaker, my foot had exploded and I couldn't fit it in the sneaker. No one told me that that scenario would happen. Talk about barefoot running. Another race I did, I ran 10 miles legally blind when I lost a contact in one of my eyes. I went all MacGyver and turned a sponge into an eye patch and finished drooling and babbling something about pirates. Now I know that anything can happen in these races. So let me recap. First, I am powerful when I collaborate with those around me. Second, I can do unimaginable things when I harness innovation technology. And third, I'm resilient and resourceful when unimaginable things arise. So those 3 lessons will help you with your Ironman. But this lesson that I can teach you, I want to tell you about my personal story. So I grew up in New York City. This is my dad, that's me. And for play dates and birthday parties, while the other kids would take the subway home or take a taxi, we would always run. That's how we rolled. And if we saw something interesting or useful, we would sometimes run extra to get it home. We ran all night to get this tile floor home. Thanks, Dad. One day my dad said, I'm going to do a 10-mile race. And I was 7, and I said, oh, I'd like to do that race. And he said, go for it. So I showed up in a bathing suit at the age 7, that's how I thought people ran, and I ran 10 miles. And I came in third in my category, which was 18 and under, of which there were only 3 of us. I'm convinced the grandma that beat me at the finish line came out of the sideline and was never in the race. So I was so proud this summer when my 7-year-old son said, Poppy, I'd like to do a race. And I said, go for it. And he did a triathlon, and there were no grandmas in his race. But there's more. My 4-year-old daughter said, Daddy, I'd like to do a race. She couldn't even tie her sneakers. And she went for it, training wheels and everything. Yeah, isn't she gorgeous there? Now, I learned a big lesson from Lucia, that all of us in this room can influence who are society's Iron Men and Iron Women, not just for triathlons, but for the big Ironman challenges out there. Energy, the environment, education, and those are just the E's. We can all be the X factor, empower and inspire the next generation. Now, I'm passionate about children and kids. This is Dan working with Jared building a solar car. Jared's on track to be an Ironman and a TED Fellow and one day sell you a car that's going to revolutionize the country. For some, getting to high school, getting to college, that's their Ironman, and all of us can inspire them and empower them. So what I challenge you all to think about is how can we help the next generation dream the impossible and do the impossible? I think we should lower the barrier for who dreams and raise the bar for the impossible and help kids go for it. Now, there are a lot of Ironman challenges out there. Miles to the moon, deciphering the human genome, democracy. So I'm the guy who does Ironmans over and over again and loves it. And I see my kids loving it too, and it orients them. Thanks, Dad. But it's not the times that's most important to me or my place. It's that I have a license to inspire other people to do the impossible. I believe our children will discover the depth of their capacity when we challenge them to do the impossible. 140.6 is just a number. Thank you.